Tadashiva-samarambam Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishwaro Guratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Shwara Namaste. Uh, we have seen the first 12 verses of the 12th chapter. Krishna was somehow condensing all sadanas into Bhakti Yoga, meaning to say that without devotion, the chance we have to truly, take care of the problem of samsara is largely reduced, we could say that way. With devotion towards God, the recognition of God and so on, makes things much more logically easier. And it's a little bit like strange, all of these, the people who have somehow reject the concept of God the Creator, and yet they claim themselves to be self-realized. And just by working on the mind. So as we know, this search for reality can go by following, trying to understand the nature of the ego, the I, the individual. So you try to understand yourself. In the beginning, you are working more in terms of your mental, emotional, psychological structure. And then you start going a little bit deeper, and then you start searching for the nature of the I. What is this I? What am I? And so on. That can be done without any relationship with God, we could say. But if you search to the I, in order for the I to be recognized as the only reality, so if the ego was not purified in the process by the means of devotion, chances are that the self-realized person is going to develop a superego. You understand? I have noticed some of these. My first guru from the old days of Pune in India and so on, he rejected all kinds of concepts around God. He was just much influenced by Buddhism and Buddha, and he was supposed self-realized spontaneously through deep meditation. But I don't know. Many times I felt that he was the ultimate ego manifest as a human being. So I don't know. Jnana Yoga is nothing but nidhidhyasana. And when you enter Jnana Yoga, you better be the highest possible bhakta, because you need devotion. Devotion is something that is going to help you to understand that even moksha, self-realization, cannot be produced by willpower alone. There is something else, which is Daivan, is God as the totality of all factors corroborating to your self-recognition, final self-recognition. So Bhakti Yoga is exalted as the most important element in this process of self-knowledge and moksha. So when we enter Jnana Yoga, we make an effort to understand that I am what I'm looking for, and I'm not looking for my superego. I'm not looking for my most refined and purified saint-like ego. I'm looking for the true nature of this person, which is not the ahamkara, but it is something else. I'm looking for consciousness. Even if you look for consciousness, you can look for consciousness avoiding relate consciousness to God if you are allergic to the concept of God the Creator, or Nirguna God, the ultimate reality as the true nature of everything. So you need to go into srava.a, manana, nidhidhyasana until you understand that what you are looking for, your very true, real, intrinsic nature as conscious existence, the only reality, therefore Ananta. So I'm looking for something which was never away from me. The distance between I and my intrinsic nature is zero. Vedanta invites us to understand it from the perspective that the distance between me and the ultimate Lord is zero, because I am of the nature of the ultimate Lord. I am Nirguna Atma. I have two natures as a jiva. I have my saguna Atma nature, which is the body, mind, sense complex, which is a configuration made from the gunas, prakriti of Maya. And I have my nirguna nature. So my nirguna nature is the same nirguna nature of Ishvara, which is but nirguna Brahman. So discovering that one who has developed devotion is going to be free from all delusions and forever grateful for the opportunities of Saguneshwara to give us an instrument of knowledge that frees the individual soul from the samsara chakra, the macro samsara chakra, endless births and deaths and rebirths. Okay. A person who has gained this direct knowledge is called here, Paramahasam, is the one who understood the unicity, the unity between one's Jivatma and Paramatma. And here somehow he said, Aham Saha, I and that, we are the same thing, and so on. That's why the mantra is also called Paramahamsa mantra. So it's all about same. Advaita Bhakti is equal to Jnana Nista, a doubtless, firm, and always available Atmayana knowledge. Now, Krishna wants to talk a bit more about the nature of this Paramahamsa, or the nature of this Parabhakta, or in other words, Yani Bhakta. Krishna has hinted this Yani Bhakta in the 7th chapter when he said, did you make this translation, Lynn or Mark?
I did. The first two lines, O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious people engaged in my devotion: the distressed, the seekers of knowledge, the seekers of worldly possessions, and those who are situated in knowledge. And then it says, among these, I consider them to be the highest who worship me with knowledge and are steadfastly and exclusively devoted to me. I am very dear to them, and they are very dear to me.
That is so beautiful. Thank you, Lynn. Can you post it in our WhatsApp group, please?
Sure.
These two verses of the seventh chapter alone have been elaborated in this verse. So he is recalling those two verses. And these verses are from the seventh chapter. Yeah. So he's again saying that the Jnani is the greatest devotee, because between Jnani and Brahman there is no distance at all. Swami Shimayananda beautifully says, when love or bhakti increases, the distance decreases. And that's why we also say when we love someone very intensely, we have an expression, he or she is very close to me. What do we do to express that closeness? We hug very tightly together. Do we do not we say that? Yeah, that person is so close, and in other words, very intimate. So the greater the love, lesser the distance, or greater the intimacy. This is a nice piece of psychology, as we see very often in our sampradaya. Extrapolating this, the greatest love must be that which the distance is so small, is so zero, that you don't have to make any effort, okay, to get any closer. Or, I mean, it's effortless. Is the greatest love. And we must remember that expression, all love is for the sake of self-love, So you have this love to God as the love you have for your own self, because the self is the greatest object of love. Everything we do is because we love the self, ourselves. The problem is that we take ourselves to be the body and the mind. Mhm. But behind that misunderstand, every love we have is for our own sake, for the sake of self-love, a love of the self. Infinite love is equal to zero distance, and that's why we try to reduce the distance. When we feel this intense love, we like to embrace the other. By embrace, I want to remove any possible distance, and the act of sexual intimacy is another expression of this, By embracing, I want to remove the distance between me and the person I love, extending the same principle. In Advaita alone, the distance between Jivatma and Paramatma is zero, and therefore, in Advaita alone, the love or devotion to the Lord is infinite. Who is saying that? Not Swamiji. Bhagavan is saying, Yani, uh, Yani is not close to me. Yani is me, and I am the Yani. So this is a very strong statement. First time I heard that, I thought that James was somehow tripping a little bit, but it's an expression that we find in the Gita. Yani is close to me. Yani is so close to me that he knows that we are the same thing, that he is consciousness, he is Brahman, and Brahman is any and everything which is apparently projected upon Brahman itself. So when we have pictures projected upon the screen of a cinema, so there is only the screen. So all the pictures are just the screen appearing as dynamic pictures. So every reflection in the mirror is but the mirror appearing as many objects reflecting upon it. So the Jnani understood the unity, the Atma, sameness, Aikya, he knows that he is this Nirguna Atma, and I am the Nirguna Atma of the very Jivatma who was searching for me before, imagining that there was some difference, you know. So those statements of identification, of identity, of oneness, of sameness between the Atma of the Jiva, the Atma of Shvara, as I like to put, and the Atma of Brahman, it's only Guna Atma. But the Upadi is Saguna, no? And it is this highest bhakti which is explained in this verse. How he behaves in the world, how he faces the people. Even the greatest jnani has to exhaust his or her parabada karma. And jnani's parabada, are you listening, hearing me okay? Because there is a machine making noise outside here. You're not getting that, huh? Okay.
Not getting that.
So this is a nice piece here. Even how he behaves, how he faces the people, how he interacts with people, how he reacts. Even the greatest jnani has to exhaust his parabada karma. Swamiji is first of all is saying that even the yanis are going to be exposed to papa karma. You know, he is exhausting parabada. And therefore, adversities, crises, and things like that are going to come. And how the yan is going to face all these adversities. Now, I mean, if you are yani, if you are more than a yani, you are a highly purified yani, such as Ramana Maharaj. So there is no chance you're gonna get any papam coming to you, you know, because you're so pure, you know. And then we have to remember what happened to Ramana, you know. And we have to remember the reaction of some of his devotees in the ashram there that was still up to 5 years, 6 years, 7 years ago propagating the idea that the cancer of Ramana was not due to his karma, but it was due to the karma of his devotees, more or less like Christ who came to pay for everyone's sins, you know. So here we just, we don't agree with that. We say even the greatest Mahatmas has to exhaust his or her parabada karma, howsoever papa or punya. And Yanis parabada is a mixture of punya papa, meaning to say every parabada is a mixture of punya papa. Yeah, you cannot exhaust one and keep the other.
But Arlindo, doesn't for a jnani, the parabda gets delivered to the upadi, right? It's not really the jnanis.
Yeah.
The jnani is a sangha, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
quickly thereafter.
Yeah. Because in our text again and again, it says that there is only parabda karma for yani. It says that the agam is a void, sanchita is dissolved, okay, it's canceled, but parabada still keeps unfolding, okay? So it means to say to the body mind, there is still parabada being manifest, but the yani is the one who has shifted sense of identification with the body mind, from the body mind to consciousness. So from the standpoint of I am consciousness, the only reality, there is no parabada for consciousness. And then the yani does not have parabada, but the body mind of the yani is going to be subject to parabada. Okay?
So we say that from the outside, looking at the jnani.
Yeah, from the outside, and you see, when a yani takes a cancer such as the one of Ramana, the body mind is dealing with that parabada, you know. The body was in extreme pain, and the mind was extremely weak because anything is a fact, you know. any saguna aspect of any configuration here is affected by any and everything, and especially the living creatures. So it's the mind of the jnani gets affected with old age and disease and everything. The body gets affected as well. So Ramana, body and mind was affected by that cancer. But the knowledge is something that goes beyond one's mental state. The knowledge is held in such a secret place, the knowledge in respect to your true identity as consciousness. Yeah, we could remember as well right now that the class or the talk, the expositions of Dayananda, they were no good when he was in the last 1, 2 years before he died. Mind was too weak, you know. Mind is too weak. When the mind is too weak, and then you may not even get enough prana to receive whatsoever, how you say, inspiration from the law. Inspiration may come, but the instrument cannot translate it into beautifully organize words that inspire others. This is the highest bhakti. So he's experienced his punya papam, and now Yani may be a noble person, but previously even he has done akramas. So he says, any one of us have gone through so much bad actions in the past, papan actions, papa karmas, and then we're going to receive the results or reap the results of those papa karmas. We're gonna get papa parabadas. So no matter how purified you are now, but before self-knowledge, not to say about what has happened in previous births, our actions were not that noble. Everyone is going to have two faces, favorable punyas and unfavorable papas. Favorable associations and unfavorable associations, situations, and so on. How does he respond is the key. And that's going to make the difference between the yani and the anyani. We saw the first lakshanam, the one who never justifies hatred, which is the biggest weakness, one who never justifies. So there were some descriptions of the yani being presented, and he's just revising, doing the recap. There is no justifiable hatred, as we have seen yesterday. So our goal is to bring forth our most divine nature to the extent that you may hear maybe an embodiment of love, compassion, and empathy, knowing that everything comes from a cosmic, most fundamental spiritual ignorance, which is somehow manifests as total materialism and egoism. So therefore, it's better we don't condemn anybody. We don't judge anybody. At the most, we can criticize the behavior and the action, but not the person. The person, everybody would like to be. It's a very, 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 very subtle and controversial conversation, this one, because Duryodhana was supposedly knowledgeable, versed with the Dharma scriptures, and he knew everything about karma, dharma, and its unfoldments and so on. And he would say, I know what is punya, I know what's papa, I know what is good action, I know what is bad action, but there is something within me that compels me to just do bad actions. So what is that something? It's a very dense ignorance that compels the individual to just do anything, just fulfill those worldly desires, for, in this case, for power and total supremacy and control. We see in the world of politicians nowadays, total supremacy, doesn't matter. So if my empire is going down now, I'm ready to take the entire globe into a generalized war, but I want to keep total control, total power, total supremacy. So this is the ego under the spell of extreme spiritual ignorance. Mm. Duryodhana, so he knew that, but he said that as well. And it's difficult for us not to have an attitude, negative attitude towards Duryodhana. The scriptures say don't have it against him because somehow he's just he's being manipulated and governed by very dense ignorance. I don't wish you to be in his position because to be a victim of such dense ignorance. But the thing is, every one of us have a certain degree of responsibility upon knowledge and ignorance. We know that we need knowledge-based vasanas, spiritual-based vasanas to have good conduct in life. And if we have ignorance, egoic-based vasanas, we need to accept our degree of relationship, of responsibility. So the other had a degree of responsibility. So how not to hate Duryodhana? Okay, so we need to go beyond our human nature and find a trust, a total trust in Ishvara. Ishvara has made Duryodhana such a hatred person. He knows what he's doing, He's using Duryodhana to deliver Papa Karma to the entire family of Arjuna. Okay, that's the way scriptures invite us to see, things. If I'm a victim of somebody's misconduction, I may go away from that person. This is the best solution. I may go away from that person. Some people are bullying me, attacking me, and trying to destroy me. And recently here, I met a boy somewhere in the inland. I went to visit some real inland people, very backward people, but good people relate to my neighbor here. And there was a young boy there that somehow got into some wrong association. And there were rumors that the people were chasing to kill him, and he was hiding there. So if you have done something wrong, you have got into bad association, in order to save your skin, you may have to go away from that environment for your own protection. But at least try to learn something why you got involved with such a bad people, bad association, why? So, but it's difficult. It's difficult for people to connect the dots. Even if I move away from these associations mentally, my mind is still associated with that kind of vibration, that kind of people, that kind of activity, that kind of addiction. So even if I physically move away, so mentally, I should not develop hatred for the people I had to move away from. That's the point here. I understand. I made a mistake, so I got involved with these people. And oh no, I did not get involved. They came and they got involved with me. It's okay, move away. try to sell your land, your house, and move away. Okay? And again, trust in Ishvara. That means I should be able to include everyone in my prayers. So, God, Ishvara, please protect this person. He does not know what he's doing. She does not know what she's doing. She, they are doing great harm to themselves and others. But I trust you. I know that anything is designed to perfection for the benefit of all of us. Somebody has to deliver Papa to us, you know. Just imagine life without this politician. I don't even want to touch the name of certain politician, not to provoke Lynn.
You cannot provoke me on that item. Yeah, I have struggled with that, and I've come to the understanding that the American president is a broken human being. You know, he had horrible parent, and then I have to see further that
Yeah.
the setup was that the American public, for some reason, for many different reasons, went forward with that broken human being.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have gotten to the place where I have compassion for him.
That's good.
It's been a long road, though.
That's wonderful. Great news. Great news. Yeah. And most of these violators of Dharma, all of them, they have broken personalities, broken hearts. You know, here in Brazil is horrible. They are evil people. They are broken. They were born already broken. And somehow these broken people, they are very cunning. They have the ability to deceive others. And I couldn't believe how people can be deceived. Sometimes I was getting really angry. How can you be deceived? You know? And then you say, yes, naive people are easily deceived, you know, and whatsoever the reason. And it has nothing to do with right and left. They are all on the same boat, to my take, to my view. This inner non-rejection of anybody, even though physically you may have a distance, but psychological, you are still having a problem thinking and rejecting. If there is some weakness in that person, I pray to God. Let him change. Allow him to see your light. Nobody's going to be able to change a person. You may be, Lord, but the Lord cannot really change anybody. The change has to come from seeing the person. But, opportunities are given again and again, and there are some cases that one is going to need to be destroyed to get another life, going somewhere in between one birth and another, going to a place in which he's going to exhaust a lot of papa. That's the understanding scripture presents to us. Somebody who is really evil. It's not that this person has to burn forever in the fire of hell, the lowest level of hell, but this person will have to exhaust all the bad he did, the papa, the emotional conflicts, and the person needs to suffer to purify a little bit. We purify through knowledge and we purify through pain as well, Those are two different means to purify. You purify through karma as well, good karma. Therefore, O Lord, change his behavior. So my behavior is dharmic. It's nature to me because I have assimilated Vedantic teachings, the spiritual teachings. This is the test number one. Not a test for you to be measuring people, to use on others, to judge them, to say this this person is far from being a jnani, that one is a little bit a jnani, the other one is a well-established jnani, someone. Never use these hints to judge others, but to judge yourself. Just access the place you are standing right now. Parameters to access yourself. Self-judgment also must be appropriately used. So self-judgment is accessing yourself without a judgment, That's why I'm trying to avoid this word judgment. So self-judgment could be replaced for self-assessment. I want to assess where I stand here without judging myself. I have still limitations and flaws and defects. I'm doing my best. If it was up to my willpower, I would become a saint from one moment to another. I will become so pure, spotless pure. But somehow there is some ignorance within myself that needs to be cleared. We were all born from ignorance. We grow in ignorance. So ignorant society, totally ignorant. And it's a tough thing to navigate and purify in this impure manifestation of the human jivas. So self-assessment must be appropriately used, meaning to say, access yourself without judging yourself. Either way, judging yourself inferior or superior is a problem. Just access yourself. Oh Lord, I'm growing, I'm purifying, I have more balance, more empathy, more love, more strength, and so on. I have more compassion, or I have less. Access without judging. Self-assessment will work positively if you don't judge yourself. That is an intelligent way to measure your stage of development. Otherwise, you fall for self-judgment that could create low self-esteem, which is very, very bad. And high self-esteem is also very bad. It's difficult to tell which one is worse, Low self-esteem, I know because I lived with it from my childhood until my youth. And when you feel like inferior and insufficient and not good enough and so on, somehow you develop a certain humbleness that allows you to approach God, approach someone looking for help. But if you have a superiority complex, so you are going in a certain direction that you're never going to ask for help. You understand? Because you will say, no, I don't need any help. Thus, it can lead to self-condemnation and guilt and low self-esteem and so on. Self-assessment must be used only as an inspiration for me to put forth more effort. Never compare myself with others, but looking, what more can I do? What more understand may I have so that I can offset the power of this residual ignorance, I want to find out where I stand and put forth the appropriate effort. Beautiful. It must be an accelerating force, not a retarding force. Therefore, we should be extremely careful if we are using self-assessment. Don't judge yourself. The next one is a jnani is a friend to all. Okay, it's more or less the same thing. The first is someone who Jnana is the one who does not hate people. And the second one, he's a friend to most people. Friend of everyone. Universal friend. Not close to anyone, not away from anyone. He's universally friendly to people who somehow life bring him or her in contact. I like to see friendliness as something absolutely uninterested, not subject to attachment, at the same time mostly expressed as deep respect for the other as the other exactly is. A universal friend is someone who respects everyone equally. I have this experience here where I live. Mark has been here. There are a lot of very, very simple-minded people, people who are born in the interior with very little education, some with almost no education whatsoever. They have dark skin, therefore they have a second level of inferiority complex. They come from the families of slaves that escaped. They are brought from Africa hundreds of years back, and then they were living generation of generation in these huge farms, being slaved, badly treated by the owners. And some of these slaves escaped those huge farms. In those days, slavery was legal, and more slave you had, it was gold. You know, more slave, more working force you paid for them, richer, more asset, more. It's very inhuman. So there was some of them that have were successful in escaping those farms far away from here in Bahia, where the slaves were delivered in the state of Bahia. And then they escaped those farms and came to the interior of the Brazil, interior, and they settled around here in the jungle hundreds of years back. And the place where I live here is mostly the base, the natives here, they are all relatives, they are all originally slaves, okay, from the slavery. And the first thing that I noticed, because they are my neighbor here, is that they could not trust me. They could not smile at me. They were avoiding looking into my eyes. That's understandable. It's old habit because you never look into the eyes of your master, your owner. And then they could never smile at me. And it took more than a year, or maybe two, for them to trust me, to trust that I did not want anything for them. I just want to give them back the respect that was their birthright as human beings, you know. So as a result, they love me so much. The only thing I did was to be friendly to them, meaning to say I was respect them as equal to me. So the jnana is a friend of everyone. He is universal friend. Now the question is, do you mean by friend? What's the definition of a friend? Give me the definition of a friend. So did you translate this, or it appears down here?
Yeah, I did.
Please.
It says, a good friend prevents you from sinning and directs you toward well-being. They keep your secrets hidden and highlight your good qualities. They do not abandon you in times of distress and offer help when needed. Wise people, oops, I lost it, declare these to be the characteristics of a true friend.
So beautiful. I'm giving you some extra words. So can you publish this one as well in our group?
Yeah, and that comes from this Neti Shakatam, which is something I'd love to read. A classical Sanskrit collection of 100 ethical verses by Bharata, I think. Let's see who. Yeah. So that sounds intriguing.
I thought you were going to read to us now. If you get into that, share that those 100 features of definitions of a friend, please. Okay.
Yeah.
If you find the text.
I'll look for it.
So this is the indication of a friend. So the friend is someone who is close enough to tell you something that you may not like to hear. You say, listen, you have lost some bad association, and I think this is an expression of some ignorance or weakness on your side. So, and I'm saying that because I care for you. Swami presents another piece of psychology is that a lot of the time, most of the time, if not a lot of the time, we can't see our shortfalls, our weakness, our defects, The more jnana you are, the less objectivity you have upon your body, mind, sense complex. The more wise you are, more objectivity you have. And the funny thing is that in order to have more objectivity, you have to break the identification with that object of perception knowledge, which is the body mind. So I'm not identified with my body mind, therefore I can see it objectively, and I see the difference. The ego is not involved to protect and to hide. And the ego is fine. No, I am the body mind. I don't accept any defect here. He reminds us of a great American politician as well. So a friend is someone who knows our defects and weakness and will tell me even if it hurts sometime. And the funny thing is that a lot of the time you cannot tell. You have to sense whether you can tell or not, okay? So as I shared with you here and there a little bit, I somehow I reconnect with my brother, and he's a samsari, and here and there I can tell him very little things, mostly practical things, but I have to be very careful. If I say a little bit more than he can take, and then he withdraw and move away from me, So a friend is like a light that is going to shed and disclose those dark aspects of our personality. Therefore, our own intimate uniqueness is difficult for us to know unless you are jnani. Like our eyes can see everything but not themselves. Our mind can see our body mind's virtues but not its weakness and defect. So somebody has to see and tell us. Therefore, it's always good to have a friend, intimate friend in this case, who can help me to see things that somehow, the black spots, as we say, in the car, driving a car, a dark spot or black spot? Both, yeah. Things that we don't see. One who does that is a friend. A friend is the one who's trying to help us to stay away from trouble, wrong actions, wrong association. And it's even more difficult when you try to say something to someone who is your son or your daughter, because then the resistance is even bigger. Oh, my father, my mother, I have enough of them trying to dictate my life and so on. I share some of my intimate secrets with a friend. With this, that the friend will not tell you. A Swiss bank, it's like a Swiss bank. He makes this analogy. So you can make all your deposits in your friend because it's sealed, You have, how you say in the banks, I forgot. You have a safe box there that can never be touched. Nobody will know what you have. Similarly, we all require psychological Swiss bank box for our mental health. We need someone to cry. And most human beings want to find someone they can use to complain about everything. And that's okay in the beginning. In the beginning, you have to find someone who is going to listen to all your complaints. But there is a price. It's a two-way street. The other accepts you to go and, spit on their ears your complaints because they want to spit on your own ears their own complaints as well. It's pathetic, but it is what most associations involve. But it's good to have someone that you can share your pain, your hurt, your private life here and there, knowing that it's always risky. It's always it can be used against you. If your friend tomorrow is no longer a friend, he's going to gossip around with your most secret, you know, to other people. So it's a wonderful friend, it's a wonderful personality. He shares, and he's saying like a friend is the one who is going to never, never disclose any of your uh, shortfall. How you say? I just said that your defects, your psychological problems. So he keeps confidentially everything negative about you, but he spreads what is positive about you. A friend is like that. No, he's a beautiful person for Jesus. Friend is a positive person. He's going to talk about positive aspects of others and never disclose, keeping confidential all those negative aspects. But Siltwan says that the problem is that most human beings like to talk, and they like to talk about things that have an appeal, and they cannot talk to others. Oh, Mark is great because of this and this and this and this. Nobody's interested to know how great Mark is. But if I say, you know what, this is confidential, but I'm gonna tell you as well. Mark has so many defects and problems, and then everybody, really, human nature. It has much more appeal. And why? Because the human ego likes to look down at the facts of others because somehow it feels better about himself. But if you start talk how great that person is, the human ego, oh no, 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 talk about the bad guys because I feel better. When the friend is in adversity and in crisis and so on, Then our human general tendency is to walk away. Is to walk away because I don't want to deal with people in crisis and trouble. If my friend is bankrupt, is broken, I better move away because otherwise they will ask for a loan. So, what can we say about that? Ultimately, fundamentally, everybody is responsible for whatsoever parabada one gets into. If somebody gets in trouble, in more crisis, and more trouble, in the beginning, maybe I was a little bit, close or trying to be friendly to the person. When I saw that the person is a troublemaker, the person does not have a good discrimination, it's going to create more conflicts and crises and difficulties and has strong reactions and so on, then it's better to keep away from them. Not only because they are going to ask for a loan, going to ask you to borrow your car or whatsoever, but also because there is very little you can do to help such people. And that's why I prefer my association with my chickens and my dog. They don't ask anything except to be fed. But it's so hard, it's so rare to find a real friend. You understand? So difficult. We tend to see friends as family. Now we say family and friends, family and friends. So it's okay. I told my brother, so you can count on me. I'm your friend. He liked to hear that. I may be your best friend, although you don't know, blah, blah, blah. Meaning to say, I'm here to help you if you get in trouble. And but it's always better to keep a distance because anyanis, they tend to create too much confusion around themselves, and you don't want to be sucked in that kind of confusions. You understand? We better know that because tomorrow, if I'm totally broke, everybody is going to walk away from me. They are worried, afraid that you're going to ask for a loan. So a friend is a friend. A friend is one who is a friend in need and indeed. So a friend is a friend ready to help you even when you're in need, especially when you are a good person that by some parabada, the best way to describe this is somebody that has a disease and the disease is bringing one's family economy into bankruptcy. So the person did not see the disease coming, although here and there people they cultivate disease totally irresponsibly because they want to live a lifestyle which is unhealthy, eating all kinds of unhealthy things and so on. I have the example of the mother of my employee that now she went so badly into diabetes that she's blind by now. She does dialysis and all kinds of things. To see how weak this person was, never to try to change that course. So, and sometimes he tells me that the entire family is paying for that irresponsibility from his mother. And but yet they are there trying to help her. The hospital is trying to help somebody who would never help herself. It's a bit tricky to get involved with people, even in case of certain disease. But when you have a relationship such as a son to my father, my brother to our father, he does everything he does, but it's our dharma as a son to support him and to help him. But a friend, a friend is the one who is willing to be generous in case of others with need, especially people who deserves you to be generous, you know. Battery, a great saint, wrote, beautiful 100 verses on values, very rare and beautiful work. This is the same text that you are referring to, huh? Very rare and beautiful work, 100 verses on Vairagyan, very powerful. You read it, you feel discouraged because you say, oh my God, how am I going to get to that level of beauty, of purity, you know, of refinement. He says that it's so powerful. You read it and you want to run away, never to read anymore. Straight away, he's going to punch your nose. So I'm curious to see how extreme are those verses, you know. Going to make us very small in terms of purity of heart. Then the next virtue is compassion. When the other person is in distress, he has compassion. The friend, his compassion, the young has compassion. And what do you mean by compassion? He has a sensitive mind. This is very beautiful, which is capable of placing itself in the position of the other and going through the emotions of the other. The person is going through so much and you feel the pain. And then you have to assess whether I can do something to help or I can't. I have to leave one's parabada to herself, himself. If necessary, I can console. I can bring some things on the practical level. But you're going to feel the pain. I remember a passage in my youth when I was still working as an engineer in Brazil, in the central part of Brazil. I'm talking about 4 years ago or more, 40, no, a little less. No, 40, almost 50 years old. I was working there, and in the central of Rio de Janeiro, there are also these, it's beautiful. The landscape is beautiful. Now it's ugly because there are slums, you know, all over the hills there. Now, favelas, as they call now. And there was a nice restaurant there, which was a macrobiotic restaurant. In those days, I was into that. I invited a friend of mine who was also an engineer, but he was from a rich family, and I was from a poor family, middle poor family. And I like to go to the restaurant. He did not like to go there because going there, you pass by a street. It's downtown. There's no danger on those days. A street that you can see the slums, these pure communities, you know, of very poor people. And he was shocked to walk through that road. And he was saying, how can you come to a place like that? And I looked at that, I said, oh my God, unbelievable. And then there was these kids, these street kids that used to break my heart every time I would walk to go to the building where our office was. And I saw these 10, 15, 20 kids sleeping on the street under a cover, you know, on the walking side covers with a lot of cardboard on top of them and one on top of the other to hold the heat. That used to hurt me so badly. And it used to do nothing to people without sensitivity and empathy. Empathy. On the contrary, they want the police to go and kill all of them because they were disturbing the commerce and everything, you know. I remember something that I will never forget. We were down the fifth or sixth floor, and then there was a rush down there. A lot of people running over behind a kid, 10, 15 years old, who pickpocketed a wallet of someone. And everybody in my office, like, yeah, let's get it. We have to kill them, blah, 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 blah. But the thing that they would say was so absurd. And I was looking at that and say, oh my God, they don't understand that they were born in this condition. This is one of the most unfair society on the planet, They don't have any opportunity. They born in miserable conditions without any opportunity. And then they end up doing some little drugs and stealing, and people want to kill them. They could never imagine themselves in that position. At that point, I felt like, oh my God, I'm not of this world. I cannot live with these people. I cannot associate with these people. No wonder I just walked away from my profession. Shortly afterwards, oh, I'm telling too many stories. So we are over. We meet on Friday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Meet on Friday. See you later, alligator. Bye
In a
bye.
while, crocodile.